BATIC 2024 has become an event for collaboration and also innovation. To know more about the topics being discussed, we will sit down with one of the speakers from this year's conference. Hello, Sobat Telkom, and now I am with Kevin Nethercott, the managing partner from CPaaS Acceleration Alliance. So hello, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Sarah.
Thank you for being heard on the street, and welcome to BATIC 2024 once again. So Kevin, we would like to know more because your panel session was the future of communication. From your point of view, what are the emerging trends and also the technology shaping the future of communication itself?
So you get one guess. It's two letters that I'll probably start with.
I have to say it's AI, is it?
Definitely AI. So clearly AI is having a big impact on all of our lives. But particularly here in the communication space, I think we're seeing actual implementations that aren't fantasy. They're really happening every day for end users and I think more importantly for employees. We're able to use AI in a lot of very meaningful ways to help us in our jobs, making it easier and faster. So by increasing that efficiency, we're allowed and able to do more work. So it's not replacing us, it's actually helping us, I think, with our jobs so that we can do more. So AI will play a key role in incremental things like that. It'll play bigger things. I think it'll also help with security and fraud. So there's a big role for AI to play in our industry. The next area I would look at is collaboration. And I would take that in two ways. I think one way is from a technology perspective, where every piece of technology that's being built now is exposing what we call APIs. And APIs allow us to connect and integrate with each other much more easily. And so as that happens, it speeds up the time to market and enables companies to dream big. They can think about different ways they can use technology, knowing that they can bring 3 or 4 different pieces together to provide the solution that they need. The other part I think that's interesting about collaboration is that because of these APIs, it allows different technology players, operators, developers to form partnerships. And so these partnerships allow for much more interesting solutions, but also it speeds the time to market, which I think is good for everybody. So I think those are two of the key areas. A third one I would add is network as a service. And this is where operators like Telkom is a good example. They've already deployed this, where they're providing APIs to certain elements of their network. And so as an example of that maybe everyone could respect and understand, is we keep getting these one-time passwords, right? So we have to get this SMS, we take the number, we have to put it in. It's a pain. We often forget the number, we have to redo it, right? There's lots of issues there. With operators now exposing identity through an API, I don't have to ask you to put a number in. I already know who you are when you start my application. So the user experience is going to be tremendously better. And so I see a big future for network APIs as well as part of the new technology that's rolling out into our future.
Okay. And Kevin, speaking of technology as well, as you mentioned before, it will impact how we will interact with each other. How will the evolution of communication technologies affect personal and also professional interactions?
Yeah, I think personally, I'll share an example of an experience I had just recently, an unfortunate one. My Forerunner, which I take into the mountains of Utah and play around a little bit, the starter went out and my car wouldn't start. So I needed a tow truck. And so I'm dreading calling the insurance company to send me a tow truck because I know how long I have to wait online and maybe they'll send it, I don't know when. Totally different experience. While I was waiting, they asked if they could have my cell number. I gave it to them and they started messaging me while I was waiting online. Before they even answered the call, I had confirmed my problem. They had sent me a link of a map of the tow truck coming to my car. And so by integrating these different technologies now, as an end user, I can have superior customer service. I can have an experience that I'm bragging about rather than complaining about. So I think that that's a good example of what we're able to do with technology is improve our individual interactions with companies that we have. Then on the personal side, I think we're already seeing it, right? There's so many different channels and choices we have, video, different messaging platforms. And so just the ability to communicate is really endless at this point.
Yeah. And Kevin, that was from the individual side, but what is from the organization or businesses side as well? How do they adapt? What is the best way to adapt, especially towards their communication strategies to stay competitive and ahead of the curve?
That's a really important question because times are changing. From an investor perspective, it was all about growth. Well, these last 18, 24 months, it's all about profitability. And so companies are really investing in their operations and looking for efficiencies there where they can be more efficient, they can save money, and at some point, make more money because of that, right? And so again, how we interact as employees, that is so critical in that. And so we can bring technology in through the convergence and the areas of collaboration. So we'll bring this together through collaboration in a new and different way. If we look at the collaboration platforms that are out there, they're now integrating into AI, so that's making it more efficient. I can now, as an operator, resell some of these platforms, and so now I have a combination of calling and collaboration. So I think those are some simple areas that each of us are experiencing already today.
Okay, and Kevin, what drives you to focus CPaaS, and also how do you see the role of CPaaS in this industry today?
Yeah, so CPaaS is interesting because it stands for Communication Platform as a Service. It's essentially the description of a technology, right? And so it's less about being an industry and more being about the glue that holds all this together. So if we're going to bring AI into an organization, CPaaS is the best way to do it. If I'm going to bring omni-channel, so WhatsApp, RCS, SMS, Viber, whatever that channel might be, a CPaaS platform is the way to do that. If I want to bring interesting voice in and record that and translate that and so forth, a CPaaS platform is the way to do that. And so it's the glue that sits behind everything that plays a critical role. Now, when we talk to customers about it, we really shouldn't even use the word CPaaS. We should be talking about the use cases. How do I use the technology? What's the ROI on it? And so it's really the user stories that is the critical part of how we talk about technology rather than the acronym itself.
Okay. And how do you think one organization can maximize the potential of CPaaS in their day-to-day organization work?
What we're finding statistically is that nearly every company now is using some CPaaS feature. Messaging is probably the biggest. It could be an alert, a reminder, something along those lines, a one-time password, very common use cases. What we're finding is once they bring that in, they immediately start looking at, oh, I can use it here, I can use it here, I can use it here. And so there's a real long tail on how the technology is being deployed. The key is really understanding the customer experience and working backwards from there. So rather than technology out, it's really looking at the customer and saying, this is the experience they want. How can we bring that back?
Okay. And Kevin, to wrap things up, since you are here at the BATIC 2024, and since you have also mentioned that one of the important items of the telecommunications industry is collaboration, how do you view this event, especially this year, and also the topics and discussions held?
Yeah, I've been coming to BATIC since 2019, and so it's amazing to see the growth. The Telkom team is wonderful. They're literally one of my favorite teams to work with in the whole world. Been working with them for a number of years, and they do a wonderful job here. So it's exciting to see new technology players, operators, we have new developers. So it's a whole ecosystem that's coming together. And I think that's what's different than just a few years ago, where it was like this channel, it was just very one-to-one types of relationships, where now the whole ecosystem is here and it's a party.
It's a party. If you have to put BATIC in one word, what would it be?
One word. We're in Bali, so I'd have to say fun.
Fun, and you also have already mentioned party as well.
That's right.
So fun and party, and of course the collaboration made
That's
from
right.
BATIC. Once again, thank you, Kevin, for being with us here on Heard on the Street. And so with Telkom, that was our conversation with Kevin Nethercott, Managing Partner at CPaaS Acceleration Alliance. And that is all for this episode of Heard on the Street. And don't forget to share your thoughts and comments in the comment box below. And we hope to see you again on another episode of Heard on the Street, BATIC edition. Goodbye.